Hello and welcome to How to Loop number 8. Today I will explain how to use different fixed loop length for each track of the RC300 loop station. This time I will talk about a function that almost drove me crazy. In the last video I showed you how to set and use fixed loop length. I really like this function and I use it in almost every loop song I play. Someday I was wondering if I could define different loop length for the different tracks. I wanted to play an 8-bar blues. My idea was to record only one measure of drums, loop it and then record the 8 bars of guitar progression. I wanted to keep the recording time for the drums as short as possible. I set the length of track 1 to 1 measure and the length of track 2 to 8 measures, exactly like I explained in the last video. Then I recorded the guitar and the drums and everything seemed fine. But when I stopped the looper and restarted it for the first time, I realized that it would not start in measure number 1. It started somewhere in the middle of my progression. No matter what I tried, the looper didn't work as I expected. It took me some time to find out what happened. I thought it would work like this. First, I start the recording of the drums. After one measure, the looper will switch to loop mode for track 1. When I'm ready to record the guitar, I press the record switch for track number 2 and record the 8 measures. So far, so good. But when I stop and start the loop, track 2 will start with an E instead of an A. In fact, it starts with measure number 6 of the 8-bar progression. Weird. I found that this is what happens. When I start the recording of the drums, the looper already knows that track number 2 is 8 measures long. Even if track 2 is still empty, the looper starts to count it. That means in the example below, the looper is already at measure number 4 when I press the record button for track number 2. So I thought I would record measure 1, but the looper was in measure 4. That was the root cause of all my problems. So keep in mind, the looper will always count the number of measures of the longest track, no matter which track you record first. One solution to this problem is to count the measures while recording the drums and to start the progression with the correct bar. When I know that the looper is in measure number 4, I just need to start my progression with measure number 4 and everything is fine. I tried to do this, but it never worked out for me. So for me, the better solution is to start the record with the longest track. In this case, the starting point of the start-stop function is always in sync with my progression. In the following example, I've set 1 measure for track 1 and 8 measures for track 2. If you want to know how to do these settings, please check out the last tutorial. I will start to record an 8-bar blues progression in the key of A. After that, I will record 1 measure of kick and snare, directly followed by an overdub with the hi-hat. Note how fast this happens. Then I will go back to track number 2 and overdub with the bass guitar. Then I can start soloing. By the way, the progression is from the song Key to the Highway. last tip. I try to combine fixed loop length for the short track and an auto loop length for the longer track. In this case, the looper doesn't know the length in advance. This works almost. I found that the RC300 crashes quite often when I use this kind of setting. It stops playing and doesn't react anymore. I have to switch it off and on to have it running again. That happens especially when I use the undo function. So it's nothing I can use in a live setup. Thanks again for watching my videos, and thanks so much for the great feedback. Next time I will show you the different stop modes and how you can use one of them to loop an unloopable song. I hope this was helpful for you. See you next time. Bye bye.